Hello everybody, welcome to Carlisle Clan Budgeting. Today we're going to be doing part 7, and part 7 is all about closing out a monthly budget and all of the things that we do just to kind of figure out where we are and what we're doing. So just to highlight again, over the past 4 weeks we went through and we put down the list of the days of the month that we have, 1 through 31. Then we wrote down what things were due on each day so we could kind of do it. We made this blue line in here just to say week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. And as we paid things out of my bank account and my husband's bank account, we highlighted when the money was, when either the item was paid or if it was an auto withdrawal, when it was taken out of the bank. Then we went through our March bills, and we went through March and we said, okay, we spent certain amount of money on different items, and in the month of March we spent $482 on groceries. We spent $500 on takeout, which was an anomaly because we had 2 special events at Texas Roadhouse that were a lot higher than we might normally spend. So although we spent $500, it was closer to $300. That would have been our takeout budget on a normal time. We spent $55.93 on coffee, and we spent $217 on gas in the month of March. So what we did is we took each one of these dollars amounts and divided it by 4, and then in each week put down what that total amount would be if we were budgeting for the month. Remember, this is all just trying to figure out where our money is, how much is coming in, and how much is going out. So that's why we have it broken down by week. We divided each number by 4 so that we could say, okay, on an average week, I'm going to spend $121 on food, $60 on gas, $75 on takeout food, and $20 on coffee. And we did that each week. And at the end of each week, we got together. We tallied up the amount of money that we actually spent, and we wrote it down on our list so that we saw that week 1, we spent $165.90 on food, $43.31 on takeout. We went for coffee at $19.35 and Wawa for $42.01. And so we wrote those amounts right down here just to keep track of them for the month of what we actually spent in the month of April during week 1. We did the same thing on week 2. We went through and we wrote down all of the money that we spent, and then we put those dollar amounts here. Except in week 2, we started adding in our cash because remember, we're doing it ourselves. So we went through when we found some old envelopes from mail that had been coming in. We divided between gas, food, and fun. And each week we put in $20, and then we tabbed out what we spent our money on and did our adding and subtracting, so that after week 4, we are going to have $20 in gas, $25 for food, and $21 for fun. I forgot to add it in here. And so we have $21 in fun on $4.29. So this coming week, as I'm doing my food shopping and my filling up my tank and fun, I've got my envelopes ready to go for what will be week 1 in the month of May. And so we continued with our journey on spending our money and writing down all of the dollar amounts and total amounts along the way. And then for week 3, we continued to do the same thing. Wrote down what we spent our money on because we want to make sure that we're tallying and keeping a good figure on it. And then we did the same thing with week 4. We wrote down all of our numbers and we tallied and kept track of where we spent what money. That is so vitally important to keep track of what you're spending when you are, because that's going to help us to set up our success and be better prepared for what's coming and going in this. Now, along with our cash envelopes, one of the things we decided to do is with your change. What do you do with your change? How do you do your change? So what we decided to do was put all of our change in a cup and start a little mini savings thing with all of our change for the month. And one of the things we decided to do because these envelopes that I have been getting are pretty big for my purse and my wallet. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to Walmart and I'm going to buy 100 envelopes that are smaller. They're not the business size envelopes, they're smaller, and it's only 97 cents. So what I'm going to do is add up all my change that I saved from the month through my envelopes and see how much money that I have all together. So here's all my quarters, my dimes, my nickels, and then my pennies over here. So I have 1, 2, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 3, 10, 15, 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. So I have $3.41. So $1.06 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will take care of my envelope. And then I'm going to have these cents left. And what I want to do, and what I'm going to start to do in the month of May, is set up a savings envelope and see how much money I can save in the month of May. Because if you, like me, have been watching all of those wonderful other YouTubers who do cash savings, filling envelopes, emptying envelopes, and doing their debt snowballs, where we're not there yet. We're still at the beginning of this whole process. So don't panic about, oh, I'm not as good as they are and I don't have that much money. We haven't officially started to save money yet, except for money to get envelopes that are smaller to fit in my purse. Okay, what are you doing? Did you choose to do anything with your coins? Did you decide, let's let her roll? I'm going to let this roll. I just need envelopes. So that's what I'm doing. I haven't spent any money out of my, and I don't have to set aside money out of my regular monthly money that I'm getting together. It's something I set aside for out of my coins that I had not used this month. Now I can get the size envelopes that are going to better fit my purse for the month of May. Now the other thing too, while I'm closing out what is April, is I'm going to go over on another piece of paper and I'm going to take all of these totals that I had for week 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to start them up here and say, okay, week 1, I spent $165 on food, 2, $26.60, week 3, $115, $156 on week 4, and get that total. And I spent during the month of April $464.45 on food. I spent in total, including the cash envelopes that I was using, $252.74 on gas, $245.71 on takeout, and $74.05 on coffee. In the month of March, these were my totals that I started with. $482 for food, $217 for gas, takeout was $510.11, and coffee was $55.93. So, as I'm looking towards May and what my May goals are going to be, I honestly, because I'm still figuring this out, we're still trying to understand how to budget and where to get our numbers from and what we're going to do. I think what I want to do is look at my March and April totals and take the highest dollar amount from each month and use that as my May goals. Again, we're still figuring this whole thing out. We're still trying to figure out where my outgo and my income is and what I can get a better handle on. So during the month of May, I'm going to take my higher numbers from April and March, and I'm going to put them in my May goals. So when I'm setting up my weekly budget and my food, I'll be able to see what these are. So for food, my higher dollar amount was $482.99. For March, my highest gas, and gas is still going up, so this is a wise thing to do, was $252.74. For takeout, I'm not going to use this higher one of $510 because remember, $200 of this was an anomaly. So I'm going to take $200 out and say $3 10, 11. And for coffee, I'm going to say $74.05. And I'm going to just go by that, and I'm going to say, okay, now everything, because the month of May has 4 weeks, is going to get divided by 4. And because I have a handy dandy calculator that is my best friend, I'm going to say 482.99 divided by 4 equals 120.75. I'm going to round that up to 121. And that's my food budget for each week in the month of May. For gas, I have 252.74. I'm going to divide that by 4. Whoop, that was wrong. 252.74 divided by 4 equals $63. Gas is still going up in my area, so I'm going to say $65 a week on gas. For takeout, I'm going to use 310.11 divided by 4. That comes to $77.52. Let me just say $75 on takeout because I can control that a little bit more. And then for coffee, 74.05 divided by 4 equals $18.50. I think I had it at 20 for the month of April. I'm going to go ahead and keep it at 20 because prices are going up and I want to make sure that my husband gets his usual coffee. Now, I don't have an envelope for coffee because my husband, again, really prefers to use his debit card while we're going through this. So I'm going to just make sure that this stays in my bank account with the rest of the buffer I have in there for the month of May. And we'll talk about buffer and budgeting for the month of May when we set up our May budget. But for now, that basically closes this out. I'm taking my list also and my actual numbers. That's 100. We took off his haircut because he's doing something different with his haircuts, and our prescriptions were about $100. So my actual funds that I spent are here. My actual foods are here and here. So that just closes out everything. Remember, we're not on a zero-based budget plan at this point. This is only to help us to set up our goal and to get closer to making realistic life goals. So when I come back and set up for May, we'll be using these to put in on our Google Sheet. I'll have the new envelopes that I've got my $6 out for to run to Walmart with and pick up my new envelopes. And today is April 30th, and we'll get May all set up over the weekend. Thanks for coming, guys. Don't forget, subscribe, notifications on, and I really appreciate all of you that are starting to. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.